War is not just about flags and freedom, it's a business, an industry, and the most brutal form of market expansion. The decision to invade is rarely separated from the economic opportunities that follow. A crisis creates shock, and in that chaos, radical policies are pushed through that would never pass in peacetime. This is the shock doctrine, using disaster to implement free market policies that enrich a small elite. After September 11, 2001, the Bush administration declared a war on terror, but Iraq, with its vast oil reserves, was always the real prize. The trauma of 9/11 was used to justify the invasion, built on false claims of weapons of mass destruction and links to terrorism. The goal wasn't just regime change, it was to privatize Iraq's assets and open its markets to foreign corporations. The plan: invade, dismantle the state-run economy, and hand over the spoils to private companies. Every function of the state, from oil to infrastructure, was to become a for-profit enterprise. The war was the shock that made this radical experiment possible. The invasion was corporate raiding by other means. Iraq became a laboratory for disaster capitalism. The profits were immense, but the cost was borne by the Iraqi people. The line between government and war profiteers was nearly invisible. Vice President Dick Cheney, former CEO of Halliburton, helped orchestrate the invasion. Before the first bombs fell, Halliburton's KBR landed a secret, no-bid contract to restore Iraq's oil infrastructure. KBR became the war's primary logistics provider, earning billions. Cost-plus contracts meant the more they spent, the more they profited, fueling waste and fraud. KBR billed for meals never served, overpriced fuel, and abandoned equipment. Whistleblowers exposed billions in questionable costs, but the contracts kept coming. Halliburton's stock soared, executives cashed in, and the pattern repeated across the defense industry. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and others saw profits skyrocket as the Pentagon's budget ballooned. For these corporations, war was not a crisis. It was a business model. Endless conflict meant endless revenue. The war economy was built to last. Privatization extended to the battlefield itself. The Iraq War unleashed a new force: private military contractors. Blackwater, founded by Eric Prince, became the most infamous. Armed mercenaries operating with impunity. By 2007, contractors outnumbered U.S. troops in Iraq. These hired guns weren't bound by military law. When they killed civilians, they often faced no consequences. The 2007 Nisour Square massacre, where Blackwater guards killed 17 unarmed Iraqis, exposed the dangers of privatized violence. Blackwater simply rebranded and kept winning contracts. Outsourcing war masked the true scale of occupation and created a parallel, unaccountable military. Blackwater alone secured over $1 billion in contracts. The violence that destabilized Iraq was the same violence that created demand for their services. They profited from chaos, a perfect feedback loop. The mercenary model became central to the shock doctrine. War was now a private business. At the heart of the war was oil. Iraq's vast reserves were the ultimate prize. Before 2003, Iraq's oil was state-controlled and off-limits to foreign companies. The invasion changed everything. U.S. officials and oil executives drafted plans to open Iraq's oil fields to ExxonMobil, BP, Shell, and Chevron. The Coalition Provisional Authority pushed for laws favoring foreign control. Even without full legal reform, oil giants secured lucrative contracts to boost production. Profits flowed to Western corporations, not the Iraqi people. The promise that oil wealth would rebuild Iraq was a lie. Instead, resources were siphoned off, leaving Iraqis with little to show. The war became the largest armed heist of natural resources in modern history. Oil was the engine of invasion and profit. Reconstruction was sold as Iraq's path to prosperity, but it became a gold rush for U.S. corporations. Billions in taxpayer and oil money went to firms like Bechtel and Parsons, often with no competitive bidding. Projects were awarded to politically connected companies, many with little relevant experience. The result: unfinished schools, broken water plants, and hospitals plagued by flaws. Money vanished into overhead, security, and graft. Contractors imported foreign labor, ignoring local needs. The system rewarded spending, not results. Oversight was minimal. Billions were wasted. For Iraqis, reconstruction meant blackouts and broken promises. The failed effort fueled resentment and instability. Corporate profits soared while Iraqis suffered. Reconstruction was just another form of shock therapy. Profit over people. The Iraq War was not an exception. It was a blueprint. War, government, and corporations merged into a self-perpetuating machine. The human cost, hundreds of thousands dead, millions displaced. The financial cost, trillions funneled from the public to private hands. The media sold the war, echoing official lies and silencing dissent. Disaster capitalism thrives on crisis. War, hurricanes, financial crashes, all become opportunities for profit. Iraq was the most violent application of this doctrine. The military became a tool for corporate gain. When war is this profitable, peace is bad for business. The tragedy of Iraq is that it set a template, a model of plunder to be repeated until the link between war and profit is broken. The true legacy, a system working exactly as designed, enriching the few at the expense of the many.